Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Kaitlin Dawson tōku ingoa. I'm here to provide you with a brief overview of progress made for food loss and waste reduction here in Aotearoa and internationally. September 29th, or today, depending on when you're seeing this video, is the 4th annual International Day of Food Loss and Waste Awareness. This is an initiative put out by the UNFAO, or Food and Agriculture Organization, and this year they're calling for public and private entities to take action to transform the food system. We now have a real clarity that food waste happens at every stage of the food system, and often it happens because of decisions made in one stage, we find food waste at another. So it's great to see that the theme is taking an approach of the whole system. But I'm here to ensure that we all, no matter where we are in that system, take a moment to acknowledge the opportunity that is food waste reduction, and to acknowledge that we all have a role to play. I encourage you to ponder your favorite food, to consider where it came from, how it was grown, and how it got to you, and where it might end if it doesn't end in your tummy. And this lies your role in the food system as an eater, as a consumer, and maybe as someone that works within the food system. We are halfway to 2030. These Sustainable Development Goals were written 7 years ago, and we have 7 years to achieve them. Global Champions 12.3 have just released a progress report to showcase how we're going to achieve SDG 12.3 to halve food waste by 2030. Sadly, the findings are not all positive. While we have many success stories, many solutions to showcase that change can be made and progress is being made, we are far from seeing systematic change being led by governments around the world. So Global Champions 12.3 will be at COP28 in November in Dubai, calling for stronger commitment to this and all targets. New research is actually suggesting that there may be more food loss and waste than we currently understand it, and that this may be sitting in the consumer level. We know that 40% of food that is grown is wasted and never makes it to our plate. We know that at least 10% globally of our emissions come from food waste that ends in the landfill. What does that mean for us in Aotearoa? Well, we don't exactly have the data yet on how much food we're wasting. The University of Otago is conducting a baseline audit of food waste here in New Zealand as we speak, and we'll have those results next year. But this recent Rabobank and Kiwi Harvest survey shows us that at the home, we're throwing out at least $1,500 a year into our bins through food waste. This equates to $3.2 billion for the New Zealand economy, or almost 700,000 people that could have been fed. As a reminder of what I'm talking about when I talk about food waste, I bring up this food recovery hierarchy because I'm not just talking about food that is getting out of landfill. I'm talking about food that makes it all the way back up to not becoming waste in the first place. We know that 80% of food waste is designed in at the start of the process and throughout the process. So we need to work to prevention, and then we need to feed people, and then feed animals, and then recover and recycle well before it gets anywhere near a landfill. Globally, legislation is being proposed to halve food waste by 2030, to have stronger targets and legislation in place to ensure change happens. The European Commission has recently proposed 2 targets for food loss and waste. One for food loss, which encompasses manufacturing upstream to growers, and that's to reduce it by 10%, and one for food waste, which is retail to consumers, and that's to reduce it by 30%. So it remains to be seen if these will be adopted, but if they are, we will see this shift the dial. And this will mean that the success stories and the solutions that we're seeing here in Aotearoa and globally will grow to a larger scale. Like RFID chips at home for food waste reduction in home in South Korea, or startups in Cape Town looking to solve their problem of running out of landfills, which they look to be doing by 2032. Or tech for growers to optimize the harvest, and online marketplaces to get surplus to people and to restaurants and to buyers. Not to mention the myriad of amazing opportunities we have here in Aotearoa, which we share regularly in our socials and our newsletter. We have unfortunately recently seen the UK government oppose mandatory reporting on food waste. Although there are many voices lobbying against this, both in and outside of Parliament, so that could have a different outcome. Mandatory reporting has been instated in Austria at the retail level, and we have seen many businesses publicly report their food waste data for many, many years, some upwards of 10 years. And this does influence change. Businesses are currently leading the way globally. All hope is not lost if we don't see targets make their way into legislation imminently. We can only see this data where businesses are making sizable reductions on their food loss and waste because they've chosen to share it publicly. They've also taken their suppliers on that journey, and all of these businesses have been involved in a program similar to Kai Commitment, which we have New Zealand's leading food businesses involved in. So I have faith that New Zealand could soon be on the world stage for progress in food loss and waste reduction at the system level. Here in Aotearoa, the government has instated many initiatives to make a dent in our food loss and waste. We have a food waste baseline, as I've mentioned. The food waste definition is in train. The emissions reduction plan and waste strategy all alluded to food waste reduction being necessary to hit our targets. We've recently seen the $4.6 million investment in behaviour change programs, Love Food Hate Waste, Parakore and Kai Commitment. There is a national rollout of food and organics collection. We hope to see soon that infrastructure will be available across the country to ensure it's no longer easier or cheaper for food to go to landfill. But we do need more focus on upstream prevention, reduction, and getting food to people, and also influencing what choices we have as consumers so we can vote with our note. That's why at Champions 12.3 we are developing a food waste sector map to highlight the incredible mahi that is achieving impact in this sector. This sector was born out of a need for change, and as the theme for the International Food Loss and Waste Day suggests, we need many stakeholders working on change across the system. And we need to ensure that the incredible impact happening in the thriving sector is pulling us all in the same direction so we don't miss the opportunity of momentum at our fingertips. This is a sector resource, so we'll be seeking your feedback in the coming months. So if you'd like to be kept in the loop, please get in touch. So for this International Food Loss and Waste Day, it's really about spreading awareness. The more kōrero we have about food loss and waste, the more collaborative opportunities we will identify. We are all a part of the food system. The cost of living is just too high to be throwing food in the bin. We have amazing solutions and opportunities at our fingertips, which we will continue to share. But today, I encourage you to connect where your food comes from, to encourage change in your workplace, to have a leftover stew each week, and to vote with your note to choose less aesthetically pleasing veg where possible. Ngā mihi, ka kite anō.